In this video, with all of the Rise of the Floodborn cards out, we're going to look at an evolved version of Emerald Steel that's obviously very heavy on the steel side. As you can see, my entire hand right now is steel. But we're focusing on very key cards that synergize extremely well with the steel package, and that is pinging damage against your opponent's characters. And you're going to see how well basically mono steel can do with a little bit of help from Emerald. So my opponent on the play drops a Lilo, still a very strong play because this Lilo is threatening essentially going for 5 lore if it can get a symbol on board with it, and sure enough, my opponent does that. So traditional Amber Steel stuff. They might also be on Emerald, which is a popular color combination, but the new Robin Hood actually deals with the Lilo very, very easily. The opponent is still going to get 5 lore off of it, but funny enough, you're going to see that my opponent is going to be able to save this Lilo because they reveal that they're actually on Amber Amethyst, and they're going to be able to bounce back the Lilo to protect it from the Robin Hood. And by putting the Madam Mim on field, the Fox, I can't really use my Robin Hood because it's now threatened, by the Madam Mim. So I just have to set up a play for next turn, and if my opponent plays into this Tinkerbell, it's going to be really bad news for them because I'm going to be able to Tinkerbell into the Grab Your Swords and take out anything with 3 or less willpower. So my opponent thinks for a while here, and they opt to drop back the Lilo, and this puts them very far behind because the Tinkerbell alone would take out the Lilo, so I don't know why you would play it, but they probably are not expecting, or obviously they're not expecting a Grab Your Swords. They are at 7 lore, we are at 0, but right now we're about to just dominate the match, and yeah, I've got to wait for all the animations to play out before I can sing the Grab Your Swords, and just like that, we have absolute control of the matchup here, and you can see them dropping a well played on the messages, so I say thank you. The Inca Yzma, and they drop an Arthur, and I top deck a Smash, and I'm like, oh, that's actually perfect because I'll stop whatever play you might have there, because they might have a Merlin Rabbit to draw cards, bounce it back, draw another card. But even that at this point isn't going to be strong enough because we would just take out the Arthur once it's exerted. So they're in pretty rough shape no matter what they do. We do expend our whole hand though, and you might be thinking, well, Quantum, you still don't hold New World here, right? And nope, we actually do because we're so far ahead on board presence, and now we're ahead on card advantage. It's just, yeah, pure advantage. The opponent was on the play, remember, we were on the draw, and we have more ink than them. So you can just see how much advantage we have in this particular matchup. We opt to drop double Cheshire Cats because our play next turn, and this is some of the synergy I was talking about, is dropping what I'm highlighting there, the big Cheshire Cat to utilize with the Robin Hood or the Tinkerbell or any of the pinging spells that we have, like Fire the Cannon, Smash, Grab Your Swords, or other variations of damage like Questing with Hans and so on and so forth. The opponent here is going to sing a Gruesome and Grim with their aerial, drop the Goat, and they probably think, yep, Goat can crash and just be a threat on board. But the Amethyst cards right now are just playing a little too slow in order to deal with my board. And, you know, Emerald Amethyst has the problem, it did in set 1, it kind of still has a problem in set 2, that it can't really deal with a big board. If you establish a big board against this color combination, they struggle a lot in trying to deal with it. So they end up dropping another Yzma and putting back my Tinkerbell and Small Tinkerbell, and I draw 2 from that off the Yzma. So I'm like, okay, that's still fair, but I'm going to be able to easily deal with this Yzma here by pinging it for 1 with the Robin Hood and then using the Cheshire Cat on the shift in order to use its ability right away to tap and remove the Yzma or banish it. We just ink and pass turn, and again, we're so far ahead, we don't even need to utilize what this deck is essentially built around, which is using the green legendary beast, the new one that was revealed in Rise of the Floodborn, and using that to ready multiple times so that we can essentially, I don't know, quest for 6, 8, 10, however many we want, as long as we keep dealing damage to the opponent. Now, they did catch up on ink, 7 ink, but again, they were on the play, so they should be ahead on ink, but that's just the advantage that whole New World gives you sometimes. But they have all ink available, and they think for a very long time on what they could possibly do to try to claw back in the situation, because they know the Robin Hood and the Cheshire Cat combination is just going to destroy anything they try to set up. The only thing that plays around this is ward, and you know, these color combinations don't have ward, so they're essentially in a big amount of trouble here. After the Merlin Rabbit, again, they're just thinking, trying to come up with anything that they can in order to survive, because even though the lore is equal, we've caught up. There's not much else they can do. They drop the Madam Mim Fox, and I'm like, okay, you can take out the Robin Hood here. That's pretty good, but I'll still take you out with the Cheshire Cat. The timer's now activated on their end, so they got to make a decision. There's not really much for them to do here because they've inked and played up all their ink, so yeah, it's pretty much GG's. We banish the Fox, we quest with the other Cheshire Cat, we ink the small Tinkerbell, replay a small Tinkerbell because we have a big Tinkerbell to shift next turn, and we also play the Hans, which, you know, you may have gotten rid of one threat in my Robin Hood, but my Hans is going to quest now if you can't deal with it, and it's going to put damage on something that my Cheshire Cat can also remove. So while this deck isn't really made to be a control deck, it can have some control aspects with, again, the synergy that you get from Emerald and Steel in this aspect. Really a big fan of this new Cheshire Cat. You know, the small Cheshire Cat was pretty good in and of itself. It just gets an extra boost now by this big one being a Floodborn target. It is so good, as you can see in this match here, when it's paired with the right cards. But that's going to do it for this video because the opponent's about to scoop it up. If you made it this far in the video, thank you again for watching. That's going to be it. Quantum is out.